Good morning. I'm Shannon Moon. I'm the Sheriff of Nevada County, and appreciate everyone's response and being here today to get some more information into our investigation. We have been working with the family and really since the very beginning trying to make sure that we focus on all of our efforts being for the family. And at this time, last night we did receive some information of the recovery of the vehicle that we've been searching for, and it was located inside the Prosser Lake. It's located within a search zone that we have been searching since the very beginning of our operation. We are very fortunate that we had the assistance of a volunteer group, the Adventures with Purpose, that came out with some very specific expertise and were able to help us in locating the vehicle that we had been searching for several weeks. It's at these times that we really want to recognize the reason why we're all here, and that is for this family. We've said that from day one with our staff, the incredible amount of collaboration that we've received from our partners in this region. Clearly being a mountain town, we're used to having great collaboration, knowing that none of us have enough resources to go around, but when we all work together, I think it is an incredible show of how committed all of our agencies are for our community here. Working hand in hand in unified command, joint command with the Placer County Sheriff's Office. Folks from the California Highway Patrol, the Truckee Police Department, and our friends from the Federal Bureau of Investigations. The amount of effort that all of these agencies put together really truly is why we're here today. And as we eliminated a lot of tips and information that was coming in, I think it's very important to understand that all of that work did lead us to this time. And being able to focus on the services that we provide to our families here that are impacted. We've recovered the vehicle. We recovered the vehicle last night. We have located a decedent inside the vehicle. We believe it is our missing person. We have not been able to positively identify, but it's more than likely where we are today. And we wanted to make sure that the family had all that information first. The last thing we want to do is have them learn information outside of our team. So I think that is one of the points that I really want to make sure that our communities know and the folks that are watching today know is truly how committed we've been throughout these last few weeks in coming to this resolution. It's still an active investigation, and I understand there will be and we will continue to receive lots of questions regarding our investigation, and we will release what we can. But at this time, our commitment is to this family, and that is where we will consistently reach for making decisions on what we release. Again, it is still a very active investigation. So again, I appreciate everyone being here, getting this information out. It is, the reason why we're here is because of the community support and the amount of work that was put into this investigation to where we could clearly identify very specific areas to search. The Adventures with Purpose folks did just a fantastic job at being able to locate the vehicle as quickly as they did, based on, again, a lot of heavy lifting that the folks behind me have done throughout the last couple of weeks. So I appreciate everyone being here, and we'll open up for some questions.
I'll go first.
Yes, ma'am.
what agency called in Adventure with Purpose, and when did you decide, if it was you guys, that we needed this extra help?
Captain Sam Brown from my agency will be happy to answer this question.
Yeah, thanks. The question was which agency requested. I'm not exactly sure that an agency had reached out and requested from within our unified command, but as everybody's reading online and seeing all the information that was coming out, and we realized that there was an interest from Adventures with Purpose, we did link up that group with Sergeant Mike Powers with the Placer County Sheriff's Office. They had lots of communication as they were going to be traveling to this area, and then a lot of detailed information that was shared that wasn't necessarily out to the public yet that hopefully was of assistance to helping them locate the area to go to.
You said the car was found in the area where you've been searching since the beginning. What did AWP have that maybe you guys didn't have, or why was that missed in the initial search?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. That's one that everybody's going to have, right? Is how did we not find it when we were searching? The lake was extensively searched with side sonar, with an ROV. We had divers, we had swimmers. I think that's part of what we're going to have to go back to do and debrief. You know, when peace officers are out in the field and volunteers and searchers, it doesn't mean that they're experts in the field, right? These are sometimes ancillary duties, and we're calling from other agencies to try to jump in. And tracking underwater is an extremely difficult thing to do. So I think part of our debrief on any of these situations is how do we figure out to improve our services, work on our resources and the way that we use them. A lot of this equipment is high-end, very expensive, and you really need to have a lot of practice and expertise. And I think that's where a group like Adventures with Purpose is able to focus and practice those skills and really hone them. And so we're appreciative that they were able to come out and locate it. I also don't want to take away, though, from anything from our volunteers as well as law enforcement that have been out there. I mean, we literally had people swimming in the water looking down so that we didn't disturb the ground initially. You know, my understanding is the vehicle was upside down. That also makes it more difficult. And if silt and things come up above, that can also make things difficult. So before I really can say, hey, why we weren't able to do it, I also could say that we eliminated a lot of areas that we would still be searching if we didn't have all the great people out there. And that helped give them some guidance as well, I think. But clearly their expertise in diving and their equipment that they brought to the table assisted us, and we appreciate that.
Did they specifically have any specific technology that all of these 16 law enforcement agencies didn't have?
I'll have to debrief with them before I'd have the answer to that question. I believe we're going to try to do that today.
Adventures with a Purpose has referenced red tape a couple times, saying they don't have the red tape that maybe your assisting agencies have. What is that red tape, and why might it be easier for a private organization to do this?
I don't know exactly what we're talking about in regards to red tape. I think that from the very beginning, we never deterred anybody other than certain scenes that we closed off at times that became areas of interest and we wanted to protect for evidence. So I don't know that there was any red tape ever put on this. I mean, if you look at the amount of man hours that went into it, it was like over 15,000. And I know it's even higher than that now. I don't think there was ever red tape. There were maps created for civilians to be out. The boat ramp in the lake were never actually shut down, because the way we were looking at it is more eyes out there, the better off we're going to be for finding KIELY, and that was continually the goal. So I'm not sure that there was ever red tape. I think it comes down to lots of factors, and like I said, we're going to debrief and try to figure out how do we become better and do a better job at these types of operations.
Why did agencies believe it was an abduction at first?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of miscommunication. I don't know that it was ever labeled as an abduction. I think that you can never take that off the table, and so as we talked as a command group in unified command with all my partners that you see behind us, you couldn't remove that off the table because we hadn't found her. And so, that was some of the struggles with some of the services that we wanted to obtain and things we wanted to do, but we couldn't say it wasn't an abduction, but we also never said that it was an abduction. I think that was clarified fairly early on, but we also probably wouldn't have received all the services and all the people if that wasn't an option. If this was truly a search and rescue mission, we may not have had all the resources to conduct interviews. I think they identified over 400 juveniles, and to be able to interview all those folks and provide feedback off of all that, it takes an army of people, and I think we were lucky to be able to put that together between my partners and agencies that are right behind me.
Did any of the juveniles, anybody mention a car going over the side, a car in the water, out of all those
I don't believe that that statement was made, not to my knowledge.
Was there any indication that this was an accident or foul play?
That's still being investigated. If we'd like, we could turn it over for CHP can give some information. They are conducting the accident investigation utilizing their MAKE team.
Good morning, Josh Ellers, Assistant Chief with CHP Valley Division based in Sacramento, which Truckie's a part of. I can't confirm that our department is conducting a fatality traffic collision investigation. We're harnessing all of our resources, working with all of our partners here. As you see, we're utilizing our MAKE team, our multidisciplinary accident investigation team, to harness more data from the vehicle that was recovered. Also, we've utilized all of our air resources to map and video and take photographs of the area in question. And that's currently ongoing, so I can't comment on the nature and details of that investigation, but I certainly appreciate all the partnership that we have here with our local county and state partners. We'll continue to assist in any overarching way that we can as an agency.
Do we know how close the vehicle was to the actual party site?
I don't have the exact location in terms of distance, but it was relatively close to the area in question.
Like a few hundred yards or a half a mile?
I couldn't say. I haven't seen the exact data and the mapping. That's still ongoing.
Did many partygoers leave by the same route?
You know, this
along
is,
the way?
I can't comment on all that, but what I can tell you is, and I think it's been discussed, is this is a very popular area. There's a lot of foot traffic, a lot of vehicular traffic on and off road. So certainly crisscross and a lot of extensive movement in that area continually throughout this time of year.
Is there any suspicion that it could have been another car who maybe hit this car, or was it a one-person car situation?
I don't have that information that I could comment on at this time. What I can tell you is we'll do a thorough investigation. We'll take every bit and piece of information that we have, including what's already been provided to us, and we'll reach some conclusions that will be provided to the parties of interest at that time.
Before Adventures with Purpose went out there this weekend, when was the last time that we had swimmers or divers from you, any of these 16 agencies out there searching in that area?
I'd defer back to the Nevada County Sheriff for that question. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that we actually had divers, not necessarily in Prosser, but in lots of bodies of water up until even the days that they were there. There were many ponds that we were following up on Coldstream, as well as other bodies of water. So I don't know that dive teams ever discontinued. It was more of trying to still follow up on all of those things. And I believe Adventures with Purpose also had been diving at other lakes as well within the area.
Is there any time from the time that Adventures with Purpose started, how long it took them to find you?
You're talking on Prosser Lake specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was relatively quickly, but I don't have an exact time. Like, again, we're gonna have to debrief with them, figure out, between putting equipment down, getting in the water, and identifying where the car was at.
Can you talk about what happened last night in terms of taking the car out? What kind of law enforcement was there, and what happened last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the law enforcement partners you see behind me were present during that time, trying to do the best they could for ensuring that everything was done correctly, and also trying to add some levels of privacy to the best of the ability in worrying about the family and ensuring that they were covered as well. But I mean, beyond that, I don't know what your specific question is asking.
Logistically, how do you get a car out that's offshore? How does that happen, and then where does the car go? What happens? What happens from last night to when you arrived to today?
Yeah, so once the car was located, dive teams were assembled. I believe Placer County was probably still the primary dive team. They have to use lots of devices to lift the car, turn it over, and then the use of tow trucks was what made it possible for pulling the vehicle out of the water. And the vehicle is taken down. The FBI has offered up assistance and are going to be helping to conduct investigation regarding the vehicle itself, and making sure that we don't miss something that may be in there that we're not aware of.
Are you guys confident the car was in the water since the night of the party?
I have no reason to believe that it wasn't, but until we have those answers, I wouldn't know the answer to it.
Can you just clarify as far as what teams had been in that area before Adventures with Purpose, if any, on that specific, on Prosser?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost so many that it would be hard to link out between the different teams. There were numerous boats: Yuba County, Alameda, Nevada County, Placer County. Swimmers came from Washoe County. We had divers from every single one of those agencies and then some. I mean, it was a vast amount of people. And I would just say, unless you've conducted these types of searches and tried to do it, it does take a level of expertise, and nothing's perfect. You know, when you fly a helicopter over the air trying to identify if something is there, most places give that less than a 5% probability of detection, meaning if you flew over, you only have a 5% chance of seeing something. You had trees and brush and bushes and dirt and all these other things, and it becomes a pretty difficult task. Even though once you find the answer, on hindsight, everything looks 20/20, the reality is it's not that simple. It is pretty complex and it's tough. So again, we're just appreciative that the resources came out and were able to help us in locating it.
Were there signs that the person in the car tried to escape?
I think that's too preliminary for us to be able to determine that at this time.
Was there more than one body in the vehicle?
No, there was not more than one body in the vehicle.
Describe the difficulty of what water does over 2 weeks to evidence.
It depends. That's a complicated question. I'm not an expert in water. However, temperature of the water and things like that come into play. But it can add difficulty based on many factors that can cause damage to, obviously, things that we want to look at to investigate, but also to bodies that may have been submerged for a period of time.
There likely could have been tire tracks or some type of signal that a car did go into the water there. Did rain impact that? Did this heavy activity in the area impede seeing those signs?
I think everything's a factor, but again, that's where we rely on the MATE team from CHP to come in with their expertise and be able to provide some of those answers.
And it seems that Adventures with Purpose have pretty sophisticated equipment. Is this something that the agencies here have, or you all still need?
Yeah, I'll have to debrief with them to figure out what equipment exactly they use to see if it's items that we have or if it's a matter of training with the items that we have. So until we talk to them and know exactly what they used and how they went about it, I wouldn't be able to answer that correctly.
They also said the car was 14 feet deep. Did y'all go that far to look for the car?
Yeah, some of that information is sometimes deceiving. So yeah, the car was reported at 14 or 15 feet. However, the water level since the 6th has also dropped a vertical 3.5 to 4 feet, which could be 20 to 25 feet off of shore. So a lot of things have changed in those aspects. Until we really can look into all that information and sort through it, it's difficult to say whether those factors had a play in it or not. I think it's still more important for us to debrief, look at training, look at equipment, look at tools, and look at outside entities that are experts, where this is maybe their full-time gig that they do, and try to see how we have that involvement from the community to come out and help support.
At this time, can you tell if there are any signs of foul play?
At this time, we're not going to be able to say anything like that.
It's been said that people were drinking at the party that night. Was anything found in the car that could lead you to believe that she was drinking that the right person found was?
Yeah, the investigation's ongoing, so we're not going to be able to comment on that.
It seemed like where they found the car, it might have been pretty far from the road. Do you have suspicions that maybe the people were parking on that little island?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that either unless somebody gave some statements to that. I hadn't heard any information like that.
Do you have any theories as to how the car got in the water, and also what gear was the car found in?
I think if I make up theories, then I'm just guessing, and I'm going to lead us back into a trail that's not certain. So we'll wait until we have those facts and details. And as far as the car, we're not going to release any information until we've done a solid investigation on it.
Who received the first call from Adventures with Purpose, and what was that call like?
I don't know that we received a first call. I think we reached out to them after we read it online. And so I'm not sure, I mean, again, with 150 law enforcement officials, it's possible that a call came in and something happened. But from the Unified Command and talking with my partners, none of us were aware of an initial. So we tasked the investigative sergeant with contacting them and reaching out. So I believe, best I know, we did that proactively on our end.
And they contacted the family?
I think there's still some sketchy details on exactly how that contact went out. So I don't want to speak on behalf of the family.
What was it when you heard, you personally, when you heard that they might have found the car? What went through your head?
Well, I think what we all are thinking, which is hopefully this is true, and we got a lot of work ahead of us to make sure that we still do right by the family. Our biggest concern is making sure that the family has been aware of everything from day one, and that we're not shielding them, but we're also not bombarding them with things. There's a lot of ups and downs throughout this investigation, a lot of emotional turns throughout the whole thing, and our goal was to make sure we're supportive of the family throughout this whole task and doing our best in that.
How long will an investigation into the car, maybe that's for Highway Patrol or FBI, how long does an investigation to look at a car take to figure out what may have happened?
I mean, I think there's a lot of factors in that. I don't mind turning it over to CHP and let them.
Because obviously we have a multifaceted investigation with multiple agencies, it can take time. You know, the FBI is working, evaluating the vehicle. We have to come in and do that. We want to allow them to work. We'll come in and examine data, examine the vehicle, have all of our investigators look at that car. So depending on circumstances, it can be several days, it could be several weeks. We also want to wait on other information related from the coroner's office and other things that all get compiled into a comprehensive investigation. So the easy answer is it could take a while.
All right, we've had an opportunity to hear from most reporters. Most have asked 2 questions. Is there anybody that had a follow-up question that they have not been able to ask yet?
No follow-up.
Go ahead, sir.
There was a report that Adventures with Purpose was told by police that they did not need to search Foster, or at least in the specific area where the car was found, because that had been extensively searched already. Is that true?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably not accurate, and we shared maps, ping information, and locations, and so we probably shared that was extensively searched, and sonar was used, and that may add to the level of where they chose to go to first or last. However, nothing was prevented or shared, and I don't believe that we gave any indication that we thought we knew where she was at, because clearly from all of our daily press releases, we reported over and over again that we didn't know where she was at, and we needed anybody's help and assistance in finding that location.
But you were working in partnership with Adventure with Purpose?
Yeah, I believe that what ultimately occurred was that our sergeant was able to make contact with them, Sergeant Powers with the Placer County Sheriff's Office, come up with a plan and share information on where things were at. So we're still appreciative, like I said, of them being able to locate the vehicle.
Will they get the cash reward for helping find the vehicle and the body?
It's not a question I'll be able to answer.
May I ask, have you been able to determine a cause of death, and will there be a toxicology report conducted?
The question was, have we determined cause of death, and will there be a toxicology inquest? Yes. Autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow. Toxicology results generally take 4 to 6 weeks for a return on those, and at that time we will provide that back over to Nevada County.
Does anyone from the family want to make any comments at this point specifically about this massive search and all the tips that came in?
Don't believe they do at this point. Yeah. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up the press conference. Thank you all for coming here today.